We hear it all the time, don't we? Our planet is at a moment of crisis. We have a climate crisis in our world. And there is a call on each one of us to do something about it, to think about how we're living our lives and the impact that has on this world. We're told that by social media, we're told it on TV, in the news, we're told it in the newspapers we read. We hear the conversations around in culture. But I wonder if you've ever thought about whether God has something to say about this. And if he does have something to say about it, then what does he have to say about it? We're going to be having a 5-week series called For God So Loved, Good News for a Hurting Planet. And over these 5 weeks, we're going to explore what God has to say about the state of our world. Because, spoiler, God does have something to say about it. God has something to say to each one of us about how we choose to live our lives and why we should choose to live our lives a certain way. And today we're going to begin in the only place it makes sense to begin, right at the beginning. We're going to spend some time today looking at Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 25, and exploring what we can learn from this poem at the beginning of Genesis. I've got 3 really quick points that I want to pick up on this morning, 3 things I want to highlight for us, and then we'll have time in our groups to discuss it a little bit further as well. But first of all, I want us to go to the very start, to go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And I think there we learn something that is super important for us in all our conversations. That is, God is creator. In Genesis 1, verse 1, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." God was there before time, and he created the heavens and the earth. The God we worship is creator. The God we talk about, the God who gave us this word, is creator. He created the heavens and the earth. The second thing we learn in these verses, I think, is that creation is the bringing about of order from chaos. It tells us in these verses that the earth was formless and empty. Now, the words that are translated to formless and empty there could be translated slightly differently as well. They could be translated as desolate and chaotic. God takes what is desolate and chaotic and he brings about order from it. He brings about life from chaos as well. So God comes to create and he pushes back the chaos and he creates order and life in its place. The third thing I want to pick up on really briefly this morning before we go into our groups to look at it further is that God's word is powerful. In these verses we read, "And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate the water from water. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place. And God said, let there be lights in the vault. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures. And God said, let the land produce creatures according to their kinds." And every time after it says, "And God said, let there be something," it was so. It happened. God said, let there be light. And there was light. God said, let the waters under the sky be gathered to one place. And it was so. God's word has a power to change things. So God is creator. The creator God takes chaos and desolation and brings out of it order and life. And God's word is powerful.